Live from USC, you're watching Annenberg TV News.
The U.S. Senate confirmed Jeff Sessions just hours ago as the U.S. Attorney General. Good evening, I'm Kaylee Heck.
And I'm Rachel Ramos. The vote came after hours of bipartisan debate.
Now with more on why DPS says registration matters. Addie?
Bike registrations are happening.
Annenberg Media's Alex Salvi is outside the Hall of Justice where the protest has just started.
We are live from downtown LA where there's a rally taking place to celebrate.
Could Facebook Live be the newest resource for suicide prevention? We'll tell you how the social media platform might be able to help.
And California's wet winter could mean the drought is almost over for most of the state. Find out how close we are.
And a special announcement about LA's 116-year-old Angels Flight Railway. We'll bring you the good news.
Doing arts and crafts and even playing a little bit of Foursquare. Zach, serve it up.
I can literally touch with my two hands. These are homes with people living inside.
That may actually prevent people from harming themselves while streaming live.
Make sure to apply some protection. Which SPF do you choose? Well,
and $50 for a cap and gown isn't the only cost facing seniors at graduation this year.
Right now, and they're going to make their way down to Terminal 6.
And he was charged. What do you think about that?
I mean, I think that's...
In Paris for Annenberg Media.
In Brussels for Annenberg Media.
Vendors selling shirts decorated with swastikas caused controversy on campus. See why some students were offended and others were not.
And an Orange County college student is appealing his suspension after reporting his professor and posting it online.
And the U.S. welcomed nearly 7,000 new citizens in downtown LA. We'll hear why some of these people still have concerns.
Annenberg TV News is next.
Live from USC, you're watching Annenberg TV News.
I saw a Nazi symbol hanging on a t-shirt on my campus and I was deeply disturbed and upset, and so I confronted the vendor and said, "Why are you selling this?" He said, "This is a reclaiming of the symbol." I said, "That is not possible. You cannot reclaim a symbol that is associated with so much death and destruction."
Tensions were high today at one vendor stall on campus. Good evening, I'm Kaylee Heck.
And I'm Rachel Ramos. Several students were offended by the swastikas displayed on some of the t-shirts.
Ilana Spiegel was shopping at this booth on campus when she noticed something unusual.
I was walking to class this morning and I saw this vendor selling t-shirts with Nazi symbolism on them, and I was deeply upset, but I remained calm and walked up to the vendor with the t-shirt and I said, "Why are you selling Nazi symbolism?" He said, "Oh, we're trying to reclaim this symbol and show that it's a symbol of peace." I said, "Yes, as a mixed race Chinese woman, I understand the history behind the swastika. However, you cannot erase the connotation to evil and destruction and death."
That's when vendor Gordon McGinnis put the shirts away.
And if I offended anybody, I'm sorry. I took it down, and I wouldn't even sold it if I would have thought it was promoting. I thought it was promoting anti-racism.
American support Nazism on this campus.
Let me speak. You have no respect, ma'am, and that is...
Spiegel called DPS because she wanted the vendor gone. DPS stepped in to stop the argument, but no officers would talk to Annenberg Media about the incident.
While some say the swastika symbols on the t-shirts represent hatred and death, others argue that the vendor has the right to freedom of speech to sell whatever products he'd like.
I have a very big issue with the oppression of freedom of speech. I might not agree with what you're saying, but I will defend to my death your right to say it. I want views that are contrasting to mine, but I do not want my views to be silenced. I don't really think having a t-shirt up at a place of private business where it is his choice to sell what he would like to is affecting anyone.
We reached out to the Trojan Event Services Director who grants permits to vendors on campus. He declined to comment on the situation. Meantime, USG President-elect Austin Dunn says he plans to improve the vetting process for vendors.
Although this vendor is approved, there is merchandise that should probably not be sold, so figuring out how can you vet a vendor and figure out what merchandise can be sold, what cannot. That's something that I have no idea about, something I can't speak on quite yet, but a dialogue that will definitely begin to open to kind of respond to situations like this.
Hillel, a Jewish organization on campus, sent out an email late today saying, quote, "These images are anti-Semitic and trivialize the Holocaust, an incredibly dark period in history in which more than 6 million Jews perished. They have no place on our campus." The t-shirt selling vendor packed up as DPS watched late this afternoon.
Newly elected USG President and Vice President Austin Dunn and Morgan Monahan met with students who confronted the vendor. Annenberg Media's Eli Goodstein sat down with both to discuss hate speech on campus and who they will appoint in their administration.
We just don't want any student to ever feel unsafe, and I think that's when you have to step in, is when students are feeling unsafe on campus. And
yeah, I think it's really not necessarily saying that either the two of us are the people that kind of determine where that line is, but our focus is about making every Trojan feel included and safe on this campus, right? And so anytime that that's not happening is one that we feel the need to step in and kind of just voice on behalf of students. And I was thanked by the people who were there, and so was Morgan, for coming down and supporting them in that way. And oftentimes, we may not be the people that are in charge, or may not be the people that can change the outcome of a decision. It was not within our power to walk down to this vendor and dismiss him from our campus, even if that was what we would have wanted to do. It wasn't something we could do. And so knowing our realm is what's most important, and then figuring out how we can support students comes second. And oftentimes just standing in solidarity with different communities on campuses might be the most we can do, and that's what we will do moving forward. It's the same thing that it's been from the beginning. It's the same answer we've had from the beginning. The first thing that we look for and that we consider in regards to applications is experience, and whether that's inside of the organization, outside of the organization, just experience doing work that particular position coincides with, and then passion. And I mean, that can kind of be depicted through an interview, and then interest in a particular position. I mean, it's kind of the same way that we go through our interview process as a whole. With that being said, I mean, it's a really tough battle for us to fight already. Part of our biggest support came from members of the organization, and so that's not something we could just rid ourselves of. But with that being said, what Morgan and I's number one priority is creating the best student government possible, and that does in no way mean having as many of our friends in it as possible. But really figuring out what group of leaders, what group of 120 students or whatever that final number will be, can best represent every Trojan on this campus. And I can guarantee you that that's not going to come from our friend groups.
Dunn and Monahan will officially take office on February 21st. A freshman at Orange Coast College is appealing his 2-semester suspension, saying he was personally targeted by the professor's anti-Trump rant that went viral.
Our nation is divided. We have been assaulted. It's an act of terrorism. One of the most frightening things for me and most people in my life is that the people committing the assault are among us.
Caleb O'Neill says he was told by OCC that he was suspended and had to write a 3-page apology letter for taking a video without the professor's permission and later posting it to YouTube. He and his lawyer are appealing that decision, and if it's denied, they plan to file a federal lawsuit in Orange County.
She is a good teacher, but what she did was so uncalled for. All I wanted was an apology from her, and just to let her know that you can't target your students. I mean, I'm in that classroom, and you're coming right after me.
Free speech doesn't guarantee you the right to intimidate and threaten people and put their safety at risk. So she was essentially putting him on notice that she didn't want anything to do with him.
We spoke with USC media law professor Jonathan Kotler to see if he thinks O'Neill's suspension is valid.
Unless the teacher gave permission for the student to tape, and everybody who was on camera also would have had to give him permission. So if he caught students in the shot, those students would have to give permission as well. If those people didn't give permission, the student who did the taping is in violation of the law.
Annenberg Media reached out to OCC administrators and the professor. Both did not return our multiple requests for comment.
Fast food executive Andrew Puzder withdrew his nomination today to be President Trump's labor secretary. Democrats say Puzder is not fit to lead the department responsible for defending workers' rights. He's been accused of treating his workers unfairly and failing to pay taxes on his undocumented immigrant housekeeper. President Donald Trump welcomed Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to the White House earlier today.
Annenberg Media's international reporter Alicia Wajaja is here with the details.
Thanks, Kaylee. It's the first time the leaders have met since Trump took office. On the campaign trail, Trump said he was pro-Israel, but recently he shifted his stance on Israeli settlements in the West Bank. Still, today Netanyahu reaffirmed the alliance between the two countries.
Israel has no better ally than the United States. And I want to assure you, the United States has no better ally than Israel.
In his address today, Trump said he didn't have a strong stance on the conflict.
I'm looking at two-state and one-state, and I like the one that both parties like.
We spoke to USC students on the changes in U.S. policy towards the Israeli-Palestinian conflict.
I think my concern is what's going to happen next, because I feel that there'll probably be violence. There'll be like backlash against like the increases, like the more sort of impunitive like increase of settlements, but I do think two-state solution is dead.
Personally, I do not think that the settlements are a good thing at all. I think that they're definitely a hindrance to peace.
A protest in response to today's meeting is being held tonight in downtown LA. Kaylee and Rachel, back to you.
Thanks, Alicia. Los Angeles welcomed new citizens at a naturalization ceremony in downtown LA today amid changing immigration policies nationwide. Annenberg Media's Giovanni Mujaez shows us why becoming a citizen has even more meaning in 2017.
When I was small, it was like a dream, and now my dream has come true.
Farida Baliwala joined almost 7,000 people who realized their dream of becoming U.S. citizens today.
A lot of people had overcome quite a bit. This is a moment that many of these people have worked their whole lives to come to.
It can take more than 6 years to gain citizenship after becoming a lawful permanent resident. But for Syrian native Sofian Haikal, it was well worth the wait.
Now I don't have to worry to go back and forth or to leave the U.S. that, worrying about not being able to come back.
People are so excited to finally become citizens of the U.S., but some are concerned that they still may not be able to see their families back home.
They weren't granted a visa to come to the United States and visit us because they aren't from Syria.
Michael Downey has sponsored a Vietnamese student's green card for 9 years. He was worried this moment wouldn't happen.
There was grave concern that there would be some sort of halt, even as early as this morning.
But Thong Nguyen wasn't concerned.
No, I don't think that's right. I don't think that's right. We were worried in the beginning, but I think things are sorting out.
Now these new citizens are looking to sort out the next stage of their lives in a country where the future status of many immigrants is uncertain. For Annenberg Media, I'm Giovanni Mujaez.
Students on campus want you to get more involved in politics. We'll show you how.
And it is officially flu season. Some expert advice on how you can stay healthy coming up.
And evacuees in the Oroville Dam area are finally heading back home. See how their community rallied to help them while they were away.
Todd's a great guy. I mean, look at him. What a sweetheart. Attaboy. Wait, Todd, what are you doing? How totally selfish and un-Todd-like of you. Come on, Todd. Come on, man.
Wow, these are really good.
You act surprised. Practice makes perfect.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. There are thousands of teens in foster care who don't need perfection. They need you.
So they say it's a man's world? I don't see anybody's name on it.
While they were doing their thing, we slowly changed ours.
Today, women can do anything men can do. And there's one thing we're even better at.
After record rainfall and complications with the Oroville Dam spillway, nearly 200,000 residents who were evacuated are finally returning home. 2 Annenberg Media reporters traveled to Northern California. Mark Salinger shows us how kids are dealing with this emergency situation, and Cole Sullivan begins with a closer look at some of the evacuees.
As water continues to be let out of the Oroville Dam by the cubic ton, the people I talked to said the experience they'll remember from this event isn't the dam itself, but the people and the community rallying behind them in their time of need. Sharon Tatum was worried there was a wall of water coming her way.
The radio said, go north.
Joy Boyart got the call while in church on Sunday.
And so we interrupted the pastor and said we need to get over there and start helping our neighbors.
They met at this shelter, along with hundreds of other evacuees and volunteers.
It was a little chaotic, but everybody was willing to help and chip in.
An example of just how much this community has come together, these games and clothes have all been donated in the last 2 days alone.
Because there's so much care and just love.
I probably cry the whole way home, and then it's hard to sleep because you just want to be here, continuing helping.
And that help has changed the lives of the people here.
The way I looked at my life then, being like 4 days ago, that's washed away.
Washed away in the best kind of way. In Oroville, for Annenberg Media, I'm Cole Sullivan.
Of the nearly 200,000 people that were evacuated from Oroville and the surrounding towns, children, and many of them are still in the shelters, not ready to go home just yet. We talked to them earlier today, and they said that this is something they'll never forget. They play, they draw, and they wait.
I kind of wish I was in school because we have nothing to do here.
For the youngest evacuees of Oroville, age only adds to the uncertainty and fear.
Wow. I want to play, please. But I was scared a little bit. I want to do this. You want to do
A day after the mandatory evacuation order was lifted, many parents still don't feel safe bringing their families home.
I'm right next to the river, and if it floods, there's no time to get out.
Dozens of children now call this shelter home, recounting to one another how they ended up here.
We were at the store, and the lady said, "Get out, get out. There's a flood warning."
To pass the time here at the shelter, kids are playing basketball, doing arts and crafts, and even playing a little bit of Foursquare. Zach, serve it up. Crews today continue to work to repair the damaged spillway. The Atterbury kids stand on the road to the dam every day with a simple goal: to say thank you to the workers who saved their town.
To make them happy and to show that they're doing a good job.
For the children who are safe at home, and those still waiting,
To Neverland!
hope that this doesn't happen again. In Oroville, California, for Annenberg Media, I'm Mark Salinger.
Joining us on the phone now are both Cole and Mark.
You guys were at the dam today. What did you see there?
Hey, Kaylee and Rachel. We started our day off at an evacuation center in Chico, California, and there were about 300 or so evacuees left there, which is down from about 1,600 that were there when the evacuations were mandatory. A lot of the evacuees that we spoke with who were still there told us that they aren't ready to go home, mainly because there's a rainstorm coming in tonight, as well as snowmelt that could raise the levels of water in the dam.
And from there, it was off to the dam directly. If you look at pictures of it, it's really a marvel of engineering. It's the tallest dam in the country and the water reservoir for most of Southern California, and there's something wrong with it. Crews were working, countless helicopters in the sky and trucks. Crews were working to try to drop rocks into the hole on the side of the spillway as their way of fixing it. All of this comes, as Mark said, as that storm comes moving in tonight and into the weekend, and more fears that dam could fail in the meantime. Guys, back to you.
Thanks so much, Cole and Mark. Well, Rachel, it seems like the LA weather has just been all over the place the past couple of weeks.
Yes, it has. Well, I'm hoping that it stays sunny and warm. Let's toss it to our weather anchor, Madeline Otterly.
Thank you so much, guys. Good evening, Los Angeles. What a hot day we had today. It's cooling down now, though. Currently outside, we've got 62 degrees, but tomorrow, that's all going to change. In the mountains, still sunny. Right now, Big Bear around 54 degrees for tomorrow. Slight chance of rain in the afternoon, so be extra careful on the slopes. We see that rain continue down on the coast as well. In Malibu, around 63, so maybe think twice before taking a beach day. Let's take it home now to our USC region. Tomorrow, we're going to expect temperatures right around 70 degrees, but don't be fooled. It's going to be foggy. Keep that umbrella handy. We'll take a look now at our week ahead. Unfortunately, we've got cool temperatures and chance of rain all weekend long, right through President's Day. I know it's really not what you want to hear. But speaking of cold temperatures, as they go down, flu season heats up. The CDC says February is right when the virus peaks. It's reporting California to be a widespread flu zone. But why does the flu flare in cold months? Some doctors say we spend more time indoors, closing windows and breathing each other's air. Some blame less sunlight, which means less vitamin D and melatonin. But many doctors say it's because the influenza thrives in cool, dry temperatures. So either way, when it's cold, you might get a cold. So get a flu shot as early as you can.
Shot is important because there's actual mortality. 36,000 die every year of the flu in the U.S. So it's marginally less than car accidents, but not much.
And it's not too late. Shots are still available at Engelman and CVS. With or without one, the best way to ward off the bug is to wash your hands and get enough sleep. Have you had your shot yet?
No, I haven't, and you were very brave for doing that.
It
I
hurt.
don't know if I'm going to get one, but we'll see.
If I do get one, I'm going to stick with the nose spray.
Interesting. I've never heard of that.
Well, thank you very much, Madeline. The Delta Phi Epsilon fraternity and the Trojan Advocates for Political Progress wrote letters to Congress today advocating for change and invited other students to do the same.
Delta Phi Epsilon just wants to give students a voice, because writing a post on Facebook doesn't make a difference, but this may actually make a difference. A representative may pick it up and read it, and it might have an impact on a policy that they vote on.
In order to make their voices heard, students are encouraged to write a personal message about the issues they care about. The postcards will be mailed for students free of charge.
Well, Rachel, I am so excited to watch the NBA All-Star Game this weekend.
Yes, should be an interesting game. Well, let's toss it to our sports anchors, Julia and Angel.
Thanks, Kaylee and Rachel. Coming up next, we will hear from USC students as they take on the NBA All-Star Game this weekend. As for USC sports news, the women's lacrosse team is preparing to play a top-ranked opponent. We talked to one player about how the team plans on securing a win this week. Finally, on Saturday, it will be a crosstown showdown when USC men's basketball heads to UCLA to battle the Bruins.
Why is Connor having trouble focusing in school?
Having trouble finding Connor's middle school? Would you like directions?
No, why is Connor having trouble focusing in school?
Finding lowest airfare to Istanbul.
No, I'm tired of fighting with him over homework.
Home, walk, restaurant. Need a review?
No, I need help. He's very smart, but his mind wanders. He's disorganized.
I think I understand.
Oh, good.
French fries. Finding best potatoes.
No!
Russet. Fingerling. Congo.
Why don't you understand me?
Sorry, I was trying to show how Connor feels every day. Frustrating, isn't it? Redirecting to understood.org.
For the 1 in 5 kids with learning and attention issues, this is what life can feel like. Explore understood.org, a free online resource about learning and attention issues, designed to help your child thrive in school and in life. Understood.org, because understanding is everything.
Looks like it's done.
Don't let salmonella get funky with your chicken. On average, 1 in 6 Americans will get a foodborne illness this year. You can't see these microbes, but they might be there. So learn the right temperature to cook each type of meat. Keep your family safe at foodsafety.gov.
Welcome back to ATVN. The number 4 USC women's lacrosse team is only in its second weekend of play, but already has one of its toughest matchups of the season this Saturday visiting Northwestern. Last time the two teams met, the women of Troy outran the Wildcats thanks to USC's unrelenting attack. A big part of that win was a dominant performance by returning attacker Kylie Drexel. But head coach Lindsay Munze says it will take more than one player to beat Northwestern again.
We need every single one of our players to be a threat offensively, and then defensively we need to play as a unit. So, power in numbers, we want every single one of our players to be playing together, to be focused, and to really play as a team. It's not going to be one person on the defense or one person on the attack. It's really going to be a team effort.
USC has won 18 consecutive games at home since last season and are hoping to extend the streak this Saturday. It's rivalry week for men's basketball as the team prepares to make the trip to Westwood to square off with the number 5 UCLA Bruins. In the first meeting between the team 3 weeks ago, USC used 14 three-pointers to get past UCLA. Shaquan Aaron led the way with a career-high 23 points. The Trojans will look to win their 5th straight game against the Bruins on Saturday at Pauley Pavilion. Joining me to play a quick game of over-under in anticipation for the matchup is sports correspondent Angel Vizcarra. Angel, thanks for joining me. So I'm going to read you a couple stat predictions for Saturday's game, and then you're going to let me know if that specific player or team is over or under in response.
Let's do it.
So my first statement is Lonzo Ball will score 20 points.
All right, well, unfortunately for the folks in the land of Troy, Lonzo Ball's going to come out looking to erupt offensively. Had a bit of a slow game the last time these two teams played. He had 7 turnovers while he did have a double-double. I expect Lonzo to go over 20 points in this upcoming matchup on Saturday.
Yeah, he's on fire this season. My next, USC gives up 90 points to UCLA.
All right, for this one, this is a huge category for the Trojans. I'm going to say they keep the Bruins under 90 points. USC's been a scrappy defensive team all year. Enfield preaches defense. They've averaged 7 steals per game, the most in the Pac-12.
Exactly, and my last statement, Angel, USC knocks down 8 three-pointers.
All right, and some good news for the folks in the land of Troy. I've got the Trojans making more than 8 three-point shots from downtown. I think USC is going to really need to keep their three-point shooting high if they're going to keep up with a fast-paced UCLA offense, and I think they've got the tools to do it.
Well, I agree with that. All right, Angel, thank you for playing over-under with me. We will see how you did come Saturday.
Awesome.
Now, switching from college to the pro game, the NBA All-Star Game is this Sunday in New Orleans, showcasing some of the NBA's premier talents like LeBron James and James Harden. We asked USC students what part of the game they're looking forward to most.
I'm excited just for the competitive spirit. This year has been a lot of good storylines with a lot of growth from different players. Russell Westbrook got snubbed from being on the starting lineup.
I really like the three-point shooting contest just because, I can't, nor will I ever try.
With an all-star cast, this game will surely be one to watch Sunday. Kaylee and Rachel, back to you guys.
Thanks, Julia. I am stoked to see that three-point competition. It should be pretty intense.
Yes, I don't know much about basketball, but I do really enjoy watching it.
And coming up next, a new report says that millennials are the worst drivers in the U.S.
Ahead, see what USC students think.
The next 30 seconds can save you a lot of money. Just do your laundry in cold and stick to full loads. Auto-sleep your computers. Plug your gadgets in a power strip and switch it off when you're done. Headed out? Turn back your thermostat by 10 degrees. And drive sensibly. The more energy you save, the more money you save. Find other great tips at energysaver.gov.
Thank you, dear. Well, you're very supple, just like I was at your age. Back then, I was a sex expert. Used to call me the buttered biscuit. I know about birth control, too. So you can ask me anything, baby.
Bedsider.org has birth control information and a lot more. And it's...
Have you had sex in this car yet?
A single ember that escapes from a wildfire can travel more than a mile. That single ember can ignite and destroy your home or even your community. You can't control where the ember will land, only what happens when it does. Get Fire Adapted now at fireadapted.org.
The AAA Foundation for Traffic Safety released a new report today that says millennials are the worst behaved drivers in the United States. The study shows 88% of drivers aged between 19 to 24 years old admitted risky driving behavior within the past 30 days. They said they were guilty of speeding, running a red light, or texting while driving. We talked with students about the study.
I would say I'm probably a little bit more alert
than 6-year-old drivers. I wouldn't say I'm as distracted.
I think it's just people perceive 18 to 25 as more reckless because they're inexperienced.
I think we're probably more reckless, yeah, definitely, but I think in LA it's just everyone regardless of age, they're just really inconsiderate while driving.
Well, that just goes to show you that you should keep your eyes on the road and not on your phone.
You know, it's pretty trippy that, you know, the rise of social media maybe has contributed to people driving while distracted.
Yes, I know I'm personally addicted to Instagram, but turn it on silent. All right.
Thanks for watching Annenberg TV News. From everyone at Annenberg Media, I'm Kaylee Heck.
And I'm Rachel Ramos. You can catch us on the web at uscannenbergmedia.com. Good night.